Hello, hello. Welcome to my Live at 5, where today we are going to be talking about the top 3 mistakes that counsellors make when they're writing their counselling profile. If you're catching me on the replay, do pop a little note in the comments saying #replay and keep commenting throughout, and I will follow up your comments and see you after the live feed if you've got any thoughts about what I'm saying. So I'm just going to pop the comments on my screen so I can see who's here, and do say hello as you begin to join me for the live feed. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is the common mistakes that people make when they're writing their counselling profile. And I sort of had an idea as to what I thought the mistakes were, but I also asked some other therapists. There's a post on my page where I asked people to tell me what made them choose a particular counsellor, what were they looking for, and what are some of the things that made them avoid particular counsellors. So, with no further ado, drum roll, I'm going to reveal the answers in reverse order. So I'm going to do 3 particular mistakes that are the most common mistakes, and we'll start with the third one. So this is using therapy jargon. It's so easy to do. We are so used to communicating with each other and using words like EMDR, psychodynamic, TA, all those sorts of abbreviations and acronyms that we use. We know exactly what we're talking about, but your poor clients don't. And this is a particular problem if you talk about your modality in your search paragraph. So I see it a lot. I help a lot of therapists with their Counselling Directory, Psychology Today, BACP directories. And with all of those, the first thing you do when you search is you're given a list of therapists according to the area where you're searching. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people start talking about their modality at the very start of what they say. It is so off-putting to you if you're not a therapist, because actually, what are people thinking about when they come for therapy? And unless you're a therapist yourself, you are not going to be thinking about the type of modality you want, unless perhaps occasionally people are recommended to do CBT, for example. But can you imagine, being told that someone works in transactional analysis? Now, to me, anything with the word analysis on the end, it sounds very academic and very scary. So that might sort of make me think, oh, am I the right sort of person for this? And yet we know that TA is such a lovely, lovely modality to use to help people with their relationships. And, it's, in a sense, you're doing yourself a disservice if you start your opening paragraph talking about how you do transactional analysis, because it will just switch people off. And what I say to people when I'm working with them is, remember, people aren't lying awake at night thinking, I need transactional analysis. They are not going to be thinking that in the middle of the night. They're going to be thinking, I've got a problem, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do about work? Or what am I going to do about this person at school? It's stuff that you would be able to help them with if you work with transactional analysis, but they're not thinking about that. They want to know that you work with relationships, or you work with people who are being bullied, or, all these different things that you might be really skilled at helping people with. Those are the things that people want to know about. They don't want to know particularly about your modality. I mean, you may want to put it in, but I wouldn't say put that in at the top of the page. It's something that you can just pop in a sentence or two. People aren't interested in you. I'm really sorry, but they aren't. They're interested in their problems and whether you're the right person who can help them with their problems. So that moves us on to the second point. So number 2 in my list of common mistakes that people make. And do give me a comment if you relate to any of this, if you've seen this happening, if it's put you off. Is, people not really being very clear about who they help. And several of the therapists who answered my post said, when people tick all the boxes, where they say they deal with all the different problems, it actually can be a bit off-putting to clients, because clients can actually be looking for someone who is a specialist in the particular area that they want help with. And if you say you're a specialist in everything, it actually means you're a generalist. And that can put people off because they don't want a generalist. They want someone who's really skilled in helping in a particular area. And I've definitely worked with someone in the past who works in relationship counselling, and she would only tick the boxes that related to relationship counselling, and got feedback from clients who said, I chose you because you were one of the few people who stood out to me as a relationship specialist. So it's really, really helpful to be very clear about who you're working with, what sort of problems you work with. I'm not saying, only have one particular issue. Like, it's obvious with a relationship counsellor, if that's what they do, that's what they do. So you don't need to be sort of like only have one thing, but be very careful not to be too broad, because that actually puts people off. So show people how you can help them. Use your previous experience, for example. So it's really useful if you've worked in a particular type of placement. So say you've worked for Cruise, for example, you've volunteered with Cruise. So a lot of people know that Cruise is a bereavement charity. So if you're a bereavement counsellor, which you probably are if you've worked with Cruise, add that as part of your experience, because it helps to back up the fact that this is something that you've really worked with. And it may be relevant to actually show particular training as well. So one of the people who commented, Olivia, said that she always looks for people who indicate that they work with trauma. And it might be that if you've got a particular trauma training, that might be a really useful thing to say, that you include, you are trauma trained. And then just think about your own personal experience as well. And I know we always worry about self-disclosure, and I do have another video on self-disclosure that I did a few weeks ago. But if it's something that could really apply to your client group, it can be very obvious that it's helpful. So this would be someone like somebody who has a neurodiversity issue, so perhaps ADHD or autism. They may well look for another therapist or a therapist who has ADHD or autism themselves. So, saying something like this can be really useful if you're happy to self-disclose it. And of course, this comes with the the warning that you should always check this out, check you're acting ethically, and don't disclose anything that you're not comfortable, because once it's out there, it's out there. So 2 things so far. The number 3 was avoid using jargon, and number 2 is try to be more specific. And so we come to number 1, another drum roll. And number 1 is so mundane. You'd think this is such a shame that it is the number 1 thing, because it's actually about your photo. And wouldn't it be lovely if people didn't choose us on the basis of our photos? But often people do. I've had so many people who say, I chose you because you look like you're a nice, smiley, accepting face. So it's words along those lines. Have you had that? Pop a comment in if people have said to you that they chose you because they like the look of your photograph. But often, the reason it works is it's very visual and it's very quick, because reading through all that text, if you're going through a directory where there's a whole lot of people listed, you know, I often feel attracted to particular people when I'm looking through. And so, although it's sort of like a shame that that's the way that people choose, it is a fact that people do choose, even if it's like, sort of like an initial trawl. So they'll pick out 5 people they like the look of and then delve a bit deeper into their particular profiles. So, the importance of this point is that it's really helpful if you can pay attention to the quality of the photograph that you're putting up in your directory entry. And I know in a sense this does disadvantage people who for various reasons may not feel able to put a photo up if you have to use a logo. And there are particular people where it just goes against perhaps their religious belief to put up a photograph of themselves on the internet. So, try and have a really striking, readable logo in that space. But if you are putting your photo up, please, please, please take time to choose a really good photo or to actually have a professional portrait photo taken. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money to have a proper portrait done. The reason why photographs can work so well is you can get made up if you're a woman, or well, maybe that shows a bit of sexism there, but you can obviously make up hair, clothes. You can get that done in advance. Think about what you want to wear. How you want to present yourself. You don't have to be very formal, because for a lot of counsellors, they don't feel comfortable in formal clothes, and that's not being you. So, wear what you would wear when you are seeing people, so that, wear your scarf, wear your cardi. That's who we are. But, most of all, try and present yourself, but not in a way that makes it look as though you're not really taking things seriously. So, yeah, people do put photos up. They've been on a night out, um, and they've got a nice photo of them laughing. But if there's somebody in the background and it's obvious that it's actually a night out, that people aren't coming to see you because you have a good time on a night out. They're coming to see you because they want to know that you're going to listen to them and respect them. And, in a sense, it's respectful to your clients to actually have a really good photo. And yes, you can have a selfie, but just be aware of how to get good lighting. Make sure you're not too much in the shadow. You can use your phone to adjust the lighting and the shadows, which may help. Be aware of what the background is. So some people, would take it outside because that gives them a nice background with, say, trees or bushes in the background. So that might be helpful. But you've got to be really aware of the sunshine. And if you're like me and your glasses turn into sunglasses, it does make it really difficult for me to be photographed outside. So, have consideration as to the message that you're conveying to your clients with your profile photo. So I do actually have, in relation to that, a blog on my website, josephinehughes.com, that does talk a bit more about your photos. So why am I telling you all of this? Because counselling directories, Psychology Today, BACP, NCPS, they are so, so helpful for you to get clients, especially when you're just starting out, because all the advertising getting to the top of Google, they look after that. It's just that when a client clicks through on their postcode or their location, they're going to see a big list of counsellors. And I would really, really love you to make the most of the opportunity that you've got to actually show them that you're a really good person for them to turn to. So think about your photo, your field of interest, so that really comes across, and your wording in terms of jargon. Don't use jargon. Now, this is all included, plus a whole lot of other information in my course, which is coming out later this week, she says, hopefully. It's always last minute. This is, I am Last Minute Joe. So I'm going to just pop up here. It's not available at the moment, but I'm going to pop it along the bottom of the screen. You should be able to find this from about Thursday or Friday. Definitely next week, the week beginning let me just get it up, the 11th of September. It will definitely be available by then. It will have a closing date, which could be either the 13th or the 14th of September, probably the 14th. So if you like a copy of this, make sure you get it in the next week. And also, if you haven't downloaded it yet, have a look at my free guide, 21 Ways for Counsellors to Attract New Clients. The 21 Ways handout is actually one of the things that's included in the course. I've also got in the course an example of a really good therapy entry for Counselling Directory. I've also got a list of 25 different directories, plus a whole lot of email templates to help you to write your marketing, to approach people. If you've got problems with particular aspects like self-disclosure, I've got some journaling prompts for you in there. So it's a whole range of stuff to help you with your counselling marketing. So I'm going to finish there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again. I might be next week, or I might even do some extras. So keep an eye on this space and press the follow button so that you know when I'm going live. Bye for now.